Hocus Delivan Sukus Mohobatuklo tum dek Shwas Kich Kich Vavano Brahmanzaran Poin Chokum Tekis Teka Bani Kyo Ho. Hi, my name is Aabha Hanjura and you're watching me on midday.com.
Welcome back on Indie Insider. Today we have with us a super talented Kashmiri Sufi folk singer who has taken the country by storm with a melodious voice, Aabha Hanjura. Thank you for joining us today at midday, Aabha.
Hi.
And it's amazing meeting you in person given the kind of magic you've created in the country.
Thanks.
And it's all that anybody can speak about who's actually into indie music. So I would want to talk about, I would want to go back in time and talk about Sophistication. What's the story behind this? How did you come up with that name?
It was a flash in the pan. I was actually thinking about it for a long time. What should I call my project?
Yeah.
Because it was such a blend of genres and different kinds of influences coming together. But the music that we were also playing was Sufi and it was folk influenced but at the same time, sophistication is really a spirit because it is very free and it is not bound by one genre, the influence and what the music is trying to say. So I think I really was coming from the fact that it has that Sufi spirit, the band, and that's where the name came from. And of course, it's modern, so sophistication.
It has a vibe.
Yeah.
Okay, but when we talk about your songs, like Hocus Pocus, it has made its way to a series like The Family Man. Did you see that coming? How did that collaboration take place?
No, actually, to be honest, I didn't see that coming. And like most times, I didn't even see the song becoming that big for me. It was like any other song that I made. I didn't think of it too much. But yes, I remember when it released. After that 6 days, I haven't like slept properly. It was like phone was constantly buzzing, and it was an instant hit. The song was pretty viral very soon, and it was very popular before the makers of Family Man noticed it and wanted it as a part of the OST for Manoj Bajpayee sir's scene in Kashmir when he lands in Kashmir. So it happened pretty. There was a lot of serendipity. But I think Raj and DK, the makers of Family Man, I respect them hugely. I love their work, everything that they have done so far, and it was an easy yes to say. And after Family Man, a lot of new audience discovered Hocus Pocus, and a lot of it kind of came back into people's memory, and that happens with this song. I've realized this, that it keeps coming back, making its own comeback. Recently, it was trending on Instagram after Mr. Rahul Gandhi made a reel on this while playing with his sister in snow in Kashmir. So it was, and then when that happened, it kind of really blew on Instagram. So. That was just about a couple of months ago. So this song keeps making its comeback and keeps coming back into people's memories.
But I think that's what entertainment industry or any project that you want to be, the movie or a song that you make, whatever lyrics you're writing. Right now it has become a trend that old songs are coming back in a new form, and it's going to stay there for a lifetime. It's history, right? So you guys are actually creating history for us and the coming generation. So you also talk about. I also read a lot of articles about you, a lot of research that I did. That one thing was very common is your visit to Kashmir in 2019, which was a life-changing event as per what you've mentioned in all those interviews. Tell us more about that.
I think not 19. It was way back. It was before. It was the catalyst of, I think you talking about the visit when I went back and
2013
found inspiration in the valley. Yes. So Kashmir has been my muse in my music, and I think it's my homeland. It's where I'm from. I think I had a very different path in life. I was the corporate honcho, and I was completely set in my career. But it just so happened that I felt that something was missing. I had been an Indian Idol finalist before that, and when I was trying to find purpose for my music or purpose for what I want to say, I happened to go to Kashmir, and it was actually at that time I was not exactly, I can't put into words that I was seeking purpose, but there was some amount of search that was going on in my head, in my mind, in my soul. And I think when I went to Kashmir and I visited my old home, something in me really changed that day. It was a very emotional moment. It catalyzed a lot of emotions inside me, and then I met a lot of people, and I don't know, I just found a lot of purpose in the fact that I wanted to bring a new dialogue about
Yeah.
Kashmir into the mainstream, which is beyond terrorism or tourism.
Sure.
So my first album, Sounds of Kashmir, got inspired from that whole story, and then songs like Hocus Pocus, Roshwala, and all of
Yeah.
them were born. So, yeah.
Well, coming from Kashmir, and when we talk about that, you've been known for experimenting with folk music.
Yeah.
Right. You have done a lot of work in those lines and songs in different languages. Do you really think that indie music is growing in these lines, because there are a lot of artists who are trying to experiment with folk music, right?
Yeah.
So how do you see that coming in the near future? What do you think is your take on the fact that how it's making a change for the indie music industry?
I think that's a great question. I feel like you said, right, there is an indie music industry now, which is great. When I started, there wasn't much of it.
Like I feel sorry to interrupt, but
No,
it's a
please.
niche part in the industry where
Yeah.
people are looking into it, and right now we have come to a phase where a lot of movies and series and all are pulling up indie music artists or bands in their music production for a particular series or a movie. That's what it is about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, see, first of all, I believe that folk music is forever, and folk is people's music, and it is something that I relate to extremely at a personal level. And as a songwriter, composer, my inclinations were always folksy, my compositions were always folksy. So, it was a natural choice for me to do folk pop music.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think of myself as just a folk artist, because I look at myself as a pop artist who uses folk influences to create cool pop music in different genres. And when I say pop, it means, if you look at Hocus Pocus, it's a folk, it's inspired by folk, but it's a song that people play at clubs also. People are dancing to it. It's a song it's got kids grooving to it, and also like adults at parties. So it is essentially therefore a pop song. And if you listen to Khan Majkoor, it's a ballad. It's in a very different space, and I like, as an artist, to go into all kinds of realms and with folk. But then there is a project of mine which is called Songs of Home,
Yeah.
which is as which presents folk in its as authentic manner as possible, where it is folk that is shining, and the rest of it is kind of just a bed in the back. And I just premiered that show in Bangalore. We had an opening night, and then I am in Bangalore and Bombay for a concert at NMACC for this project.
Yeah.
And so folk is something that I feel like a lot of people may think it's niche, but I have never thought of it that way, because I believe that folk, like any other form of music, is just a way of expression. But people relate to music at a level of what they're listening to and how it's making them feel. If you look
Yeah.
at music today, like folk house is off the charts, with songs like Dilbar and Pasuri,
Mhm.
and how they've opened up doors, right? They're mainstream
Actually,
pop
yeah.
songs. So I don't see these boundaries as boundaries. For me, it's just music that's honest, it's coming from a real place. And everyone does what they're good at, right?
Yeah.
So someone in the indie music industry, like you said, probably has more of a singer-songwriter vibe to them. They want to, they probably express better with less instrumentation, or that's just their identity and that's their sonic atmosphere that they
Yeah.
like to experiment with. It doesn't really put song in a genre. For another human being, a song is a song, according to me. It doesn't matter which language it's coming in and what genre it's coming from. I don't at least listen to music like that. So, yeah.
But do you think when it comes to these indie music and different genres, the kind of music that indie artists are picking up, it has a long way to go.
Yeah, I think
Given
so.
given the Gen Zs coming up in the picture,
Yes.
millennials are into it for sure. In fact, the kind of music you're creating, and like you mentioned earlier, even the adults or our ancestors, like our grandparents, are listening to it. We are listening to it.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the Gen
I am
Zs
very
today?
lucky that way.
Yeah.
In my audience group, in a typical concert, I have kids who are 3 to 4 years old to adults who and to teenagers to 20 to 25-year-olds to 60s. I've also had an like the oldest audience member for me has been someone who's 70 or more, you know. So I think touch wood, with God's grace, I'm very lucky to speak to everybody, and especially with Hocus Pocus, I think I've caught them young and watching them grow. You know, in terms of a lot of them have grown up on the
Yeah.
song, and I hear that with parents bringing kids to the concert. I feel like it's about like you said, like, you know, different. There's a lot more to do. There is some sort of an industry with indie right now, but it's about what will happen right now for it to become massive.
Yeah.
People used to have this whole Bollywood versus indie conversation, right? And for me, I've never found any sense in that, because I genuinely feel that music is music. It doesn't matter where it's coming from, right? Whether it's a film or it's an independent artist, but then because the fact is that the Bollywood comes with a lot of backing money and
Yeah.
everything, and it's a bigger, and I never felt that that's even some beast to compete with. You do your thing and you see where it goes, right? I feel like, but right now, since there is some sort of a parallel industry forming, it's a very exciting time for new artists to come and do something radically different. Or for anyone, I feel like not just new. I mean, I look at myself always as someone who has to do something interesting and new today, and that's what I did with my show Songs of Home. I completely reinvented my sound, my act, and I do that all the time. Because I believe that you'll have to keep yourself. You'll have to keep evolving to keep the audience interested.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think there's a lot of scope, and it can go places if the right kind of artists do right kind of work.
Okay, but you know, those kind of songs you've written, Hocus Pocus, Roshewala, Sahibo, all these songs are on, it has a different tangent itself, right? If I'm able to explain myself here, that it's not just any normal Hindi romantic song.
Yeah.
It has a very different feel to it, given it has the pinch of folk music in it, right? But what really inspires you to create such songs or such piece of work, not only because it has, you have that connect with Kashmir, but in general, like what inspires you to get there?
I think for me, it's just about embracing identities, and with all my music, I've tried to do that, and that includes embracing all parts of my identity as a human being. I am a Kashmiri who was born in Kashmir. I was raised in Jammu, and I then moved on to come to Bangalore, Bombay. I've been all over India. I have all kinds of influences in my music, and because I was raised in Jammu, I have a strong Punjabi influence.
Correct.
I grew up on it, on that music. So just because people feel that there is a language that I have done some music in which has become really, really popular, I never wanted to restrict myself to just that. So all of these realms, whether it's Sahib or it's a Kalirangda Paranda, or it's a Kala Shakala too, like, then Roshawalla, they're all parts of my identity. And a lot of these songs, whatever I just released a collaboration with electronic music producer called Sartek, which is a Punjabi pop dance floor banger called Gat Gat Karke. That's also me. And then I'm doing another song now, which will release soon, which is a super emotional ballad that comes from a very different place, and that's also me. So it took me a while to get this courageous and fearless with my art, where I can say that I will do the kind of music that makes me happy, and then eventually it will all make sense. And most of us artists, we struggle with that, because what happens is that one thing starts working, and then it's very tough for us to take any risks. But according to me, it's about really keeping yourself, being honest to your art. That's what our job is. Our job is not, God only blesses a few souls with the power of art. Only a few people in this world are given this gift. And if you are, then yes, you need to create a balance, but you also have to be honest with the artist that you are, really.
That's true.
And then everything else happens. I think people just come around if they have to, and the real ones, they stick around. For me, I've had fans who've seen all the journey go from here to there, and then the ones that really love me, they stick by.
That's so true.
Yeah.
But you also talked about, you changed your career path from a corporate job to this. Tell us about that.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was music chose me. I didn't choose music. I really feel that because I was really on, and I believe that music chooses you. You don't choose music. It is something that really happens, and life just one thing leads to
Yeah.
another. Um, and of course, I was a finalist at Indian Idol season 2, and after that, there was a lot of hoopla around that for a while, which happens. And then I was just 18 when that happened, and at that time I was too young to even understand what was going on. But then beyond a certain point, I really realized that this is not the path, and I think I was always meant to tell my own story. So
Yeah.
by the time I decided to finish my education, because I was just a kid when I was an idol. So I was like, okay, no, माँ बाप ने इतनी मेहनत की है कॉलेज वॉलेज भेजने के लिए. So I couldn't come from a very humble middle class family. So I couldn't have just left all of that and said that. So yeah, I finished my education and went on to have another career. But there was a certain part of me that was feeling like this is not it. This is not exactly what I'm meant to do. Even though I was really good at my job, and I grew very fast, my career was going very well. I had no reason to leave, but it just happened that I found a purpose for my life in another direction, and that really meant for me to start from scratch. And yeah, the only thing I'd give myself credit for is to have the ability to take that call, that okay, I will be okay to start from scratch again. And that's just who I am. I'm always ready to start from scratch. That's just
It
I think
takes a
that's,
lot for anybody to take such a risk.
yeah,
in
and
life.
that's just me. I think that's one of my ways of being. I always am ready to reinvent the wheel, and it's not something that I want to hold on to that part of me
Yeah,
for the
that's
rest
not
of my life.
something
Yeah,
everybody has.
yeah. So I had that, this thing that okay, chalo karenge, देखेंगे क्या होता है, and then we'll do it. But for a long time, I juggled too. I was like, I had feet in two boats, and I was really going crazy. And but I was very lucky. I had really amazing support systems at my workplace. Also, I used to manage to have a full artistic career on the side along with a full-time job. I did that for 3 years, 3 4 years before I was like, no, now I can't possibly. And this is, and then because I was also like, okay, I tried to also be a little practical about it for a while, just to make sure that I have enough savings in the bank to keep going on this indie career
Yeah.
path for a while. So I would not suggest anybody to think that it is all fancy and dory once you.
It's
lot
tough.
lot of people romanticize this whole thing,
Yeah.
and I really want to be honest about this, because yes, everybody may feel at some point in their life that they're feeling stuck with whatever that they're doing, or that this is not what they're meant to do, and this happens to most of us. And yes, you need to listen to that part of your calling, or you need to listen to that voice from inside. But at the same time, you need to also be really ready to understand that if you're trying to run away from a boss, when you
Yeah.
leave that, you're going to be your own boss, and you're the worst boss that you've ever had. Because then there is only you and yourself to answer to, and you finally end up doing 5 people's job as one person. And it can get frustrating.
Of course.
And you have to be really sure, and you have to be ready to go the whole while. It's not all fancy and romantic as people make it out to be. So I guess it's a mixed bag. You gotta be ready for the challenges that come along. But if you're really, really, really good at what you do, number one, talented, passionate, and determined and committed to stick through, you'll shine. It always happens. Everybody finds their way.
That makes absolute sense,
Yeah.
But then I think there's a lot to learn from you when you say that you have that spirit to just go with something, or just look for a change, or just jump onto it. Not everybody does. People might think 10 times before doing one, just ordering some food, right? But you just jumped into something else, and you know that you wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So I think that's something people should
Thankfully,
learn
I
from.
had a lot of validation for my talent. That is the one thing that I think I would really give credit to it. I think Idol for that, Indian Idol, because as a kid that I went there and lakhs of people auditioned, and you're finally in the last 20, 30 people.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. So
Indian Idol too fine in this.
yeah, so I didn't have any such, I used to sing. My mom was a trained classical singer. She trained me. I mean, I used to sing in school and everything, but I never thought I'll take it up as a career. So for me also, the validation came from there. It came from a lot of other places. I was like, oh, okay, maybe this could be something. So yeah.
Mumbai as a city and as an artist, what do you think is the influence that it has on you? especially as an indie artist, it's a very niche art form, like I mentioned before. How?
I love Mumbai, and I feel that the spirit of Mumbai is infectious. It's beautiful, and it just keeps me going. And I feel like in Mumbai, everyone's serious about their work. Everyone's serious about what they're doing. There's a lot of heart in the city for arts, and of course, the fact that I think now the scene is changing a little. It was always all about film, music, Bollywood, this, that. It's changing to some extent, but more than that, I also really feel very proud of my Bangalore roots, because I feel like I am able to be an indie artist today because I was a Bangalore, because of the
Banga has a lot of indie artists.
the Bangalore independent scene, and I really credit me being an indie artist to the Bangalore indie scene, because I really found my feet in Bangalore. I found my feet in the city with its beautiful, amazing musicians, collaborators, bandmates, music producers. And the audience. I've started my career from clubs playing to just 10 people, 15 people. Then that slowly grew to 50, 100, and then I've also done 10,000. It's like a journey, right? But the fact that I was in a city like Bangalore really, really helped me to find my own sound and my own feet and my own audience and my own groove. And the phenomenal bands and artists that have come out of the Bangalore scene. So, I'd say that that's also a huge credit.
But when we talk about indie music again, in the sense that in comparison of it with movie songs in the Indian film industries, music productions that are coming out, and like you mentioned, a song is a song, right? You did not, like what I've understood, that is you're not somebody who try to differentiate between that. Anybody who's listening to a song is just a song.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But still, do you think there's any one line of difference even between an indie music or a movie song?
Yeah, there is a big difference, and that is the major difference, and that's the most important difference.
Yeah.
Is that when an independent musician or a singer-songwriter, especially that kind of an independent artist, which I also feel like I am as a songwriter, I'm a songwriter, I'm a singer, I'm a live performer, that the difference is the honesty that is there in your art, and it comes through in your song, and it comes through in what you're saying. The difference between a film song and an indie artist's song is that a film song is for Salman Khan or Deepika Padukone or Katrina Kaif to sing and dance, or for them to
picturization is for
them to express a certain feeling, and for many people, a lot of Indians to feel something common with that.
Yeah.
But what happens in an independent artist song is that it's your story, and it's as raw and as authentic, because it comes from your voice. That's what makes it independent for me. And if that is not there, then it's not an indie song. But if your voice is there, no matter if your honest voice in it is there, I don't mean singing. I mean in your writing, in your composition, in your arrangements. If who you really are is a part of that song, then it's an indie song for me. That's it. I think for me that's the definition.
Well, I don't think anybody would define the difference between independent artists. I would not even say indie, and the difference of that.
And one more thing about indie, is that I think you should be which I have been for a long time, is that you're not backed by any big label, but you are, self-releasing, self-producing, you're entirely
juggled into the system
you are like the CEO of this little company called Your Song. So that's what I have done with my music. Hocus Pocus, I have overseen everything from its production, video production, marketing, every single thing. So getting it out, I'm a self-releasing. I have my own boutique record label. So that's really 100% indie. But then again, there's no real format to it. Also today, those things are also expanding. It's great to find partners. I'm always up for those collaborations and all of that. But there are a lot of what is also 100% independent is if there's no label behind it, no music label behind it.
So tell us about all your coming up projects.
Yes, one of my projects which I am so excited about right now is my new show called Songs of Home. It's taken me a long time to create the show, and I have a really big vision with it. I really want to take it, hopefully, I want to take it to bigger places than what it has already been at, and want to take it international. I really believe in that sound, I really believe in that project. Songs of Home comes from it took me some time to create this show, but it's a complete opposite direction to what Sophistication is, which is my live show, which is, with the full band, and we play a mixed set of folk pop music from different languages and my original music as well. It's very dancey. That is like, keeps you going and leaves people screaming and dancing towards the end of our shows. Versus Songs of Home is a show that makes people think when they leave the show. That's the difference. It's a completely different idea. It's a completely different format. It's an intimate show. It's with a few musicians from Kashmir. It's with folk. The folk is the center of it. The stories of Kashmir are the center of it. And a lot of my original music inspired from Kashmir, which is my muse that I think everyone knows, and my homeland, those songs are there. And it has taken me a lot of courage to now do those songs. It has taken me a lot of time as an artist to create this project and do it with full intention, I think, and honesty. That's more important. I think it's about intention and honesty. And the opening night in Bangalore was magical. We did it at Courtyard Community. And it was raining the day the opening night happened, and I was just completely freaked out. I said, okay, so this whole thing is, and that too, hails and storms and trees have fallen on the road, that kind of rain.
Yeah.
And it's a Sunday, and I was like, okay, I don't think this is going to go the way I thought. But right before we started, it was packed, and people sat through 1.5 hours. This is a show where people don't go, it's a theatre style show. You sit down and you watch for a certain amount of time. No one moved, with no food, no water. It meant the world to me, and I was able to express myself in the most raw, honest, vulnerable form that I know of my own self. Then this show found its beautiful audience at Neeta Mukesh Ambani Cultural Center, where we took it to Bombay, and the show ended with a standing ovation, and everyone was moved, and people left the hall with a lot to think and process. And those songs are the kinds of songs that I'm doing right now, and that's the music that I'm doing right now, and that's the live show that I'm doing right now, which is very, very close to my heart. I hopefully want to make this into a bigger production, take it to bigger places. But the response to this has been phenomenal, and I finally feel like it's coming together. So I feel very excited about that. Apart from that, there are a few collaborations that I'm working on, and those songs are also then in a very new, different, exciting direction. Can't reveal names right now, but some of them are really, really fun and exciting. And and I have a huge original releasing, a big song, which has been I think it's taken me 3 years to finally put that song out. It's taken a long time to make. It's not like any of my other music that you have ever heard. It's the most honest, most raw, most personal account of my life as an artist, my story, and a story of millions of people who feel, millions of communities who are displaced. I think it's a beautiful story. It's not a song, it's a story. So I'm very, very excited to tell it. Hopefully it'll come out soon. Yes, and that and a lot more. And lots of shows. Yes, we're on tour, and I'm going to Kashmir next for a concert, which I'm very excited about, and after that hopefully a few more too before the season starts.
It was great having you here with us on the show today, and thank you so much, and good luck for your future endeavors.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.